Hey, I'm Virginia from Peaceful Acres Farm, and today we're going to be making a felt heart pin. One of the great things about this project is it doesn't require many supplies. So let's go over what you need. You'll need some embroidery floss, some felt, a paper template or a shape that you have in mind that you want to cut out, a jewelry pin that opens and has a sticky back so you can stick it to your felt, a needle, preferably one with a big eye, like a chenille needle, and a pair of scissors. So the very first thing you want to do is cut out the shapes that you want to use out of the felt. And if you have a handout and you look at the bottom of the handout, I already have a paper template set up for you. Just cut it out and place it on top of your felt, and then use your scissors to cut around it. If you have pins, you can pin it to the felt, and if not, you can just hold it with your hands. Now we're going to thread our needle. You want to take one piece of your embroidery floss, and stick it through the eye of your needle. So now that we have the embroidery floss going through the eye of the needle, we're going to put a knot in one end, and you knot the thread however you can. I like to do the overhand knot, which is how you start when you tie your shoes, just that basic knot that everybody knows how to do. And I like to do 2 of those to make a knot big enough that it does not get pulled out when you're sewing through the felt. Now, once you've got the one end knotted, you want to pull the thread through so that you have a tail, the tail that isn't knotted, about 6 inches long on one side, and then a long tail that is knotted. Okay, now we're going to do a blanket stitch around the edge of the largest heart to kind of finish the edge. And it is hard to show it on the camera, so if you have the handout, just look at the blanket stitch diagram to see how to do it. The number 1 is where you want to come up from the bottom of the felt, and it's near the edge. So have the edge facing you and put your needle up through the edge where it says number 1 and pull until the knot catches. Now you want to go down into the fabric where it says number 2, and that's a little bit off of the edge, about 1/4 inch. So you want to go down where it says 2. Don't pull your needle all the way through. See where it says number 3 on the diagram? That's where you want to come back up. So I'm just going to poke it through, and I'm going to pull the needle through, but make sure that this thread, where it came up from number 1, is underneath it so that it catches. And I'm going to pull the needle through. And it will catch that stitch. So after you did that first stitch, you want to just continue to do that, the same thing all the way around the edge of the heart. So you're going to go down and back up, and just make sure that that thread is up under the needle when you pull it through. Down and back up near the edge, and make sure that the thread is under the needle when you pull it through. And just continue to do that all the way around the heart. After you do your blanket stitch around your heart, you want to poke the needle from the front to the back so that your thread is on the back, and you want to make a knot so that the stitches don't come undone. So to do that, you want to find one of your stitches and stick your needle through it and stay on the back, and if you look, you've made a loop. You want to stick your needle through that loop and pull it tight. And you want to do that 2 times just to be extra sure that it's nice and tight and it won't come undone. Then use scissors to trim the thread. Now we're going to place the medium-sized heart on top of the bigger heart, and we're going to do a running stitch around the edge of it. For a running stitch, all you have to do is thread your needle with the color floss that you've chosen and knot the end just like we did before. And then you want to leave the unknotted tail about 6 inches long, just like we did before. And then we're going to stitch them together. So you're going to come up from the bottom, and pull your thread through till it catches on the knot. And then you're just going to go right back down again. And you're going to pull all the way through. And you're going to do that all the way around the edge of the heart. Be sure and try to stay close to the edge so that you can see that once you attach the smaller heart. Once you do that last stitch and your thread and needle are on the back side of the fabric, you're going to tie it off just like we did before. So pick a stitch, and I'm just going to use this one right here, and you're going to push your needle through, and just like before, it's made your loop of embroidery floss, and you're just going to put your needle through that loop. And do that 2 times. Now we're going to attach the smaller heart. And on the smaller heart, you can kind of do whatever stitch you want. On this one, I did kind of a sunburst. It's just long running stitches, just like the ones we just did. And I start here at the bottom and do a running stitch out to the edge. And then I would go back to the bottom and go back out to the top, to the edge of the heart again. And I just did that until I filled it up. I think on this one, I'm going to do something called seed stitches, which are just really small running stitches, just like this, but you kind of do them however you want. So it looks kind of like sprinkles. So I've rethreaded my needle and I've put a knot in the end of the thread, and now I'm going to stitch them together. And I'm having a hard time seeing those little running stitches, so I'm going to trim my heart to be a little bit smaller so we can see it. Once you're done and your needle and thread are on the bottom of the heart, just tie it off like we did with the 2 other flosses. Now that it's done, it's ready to attach your pin. So if you have the pin with the sticky back, you can just peel the paper off, turn your heart over, and stick the pin where you want it. And you're done. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you later.